Satyajit Das, author of Extreme Money. Tell me, what exactly is extreme money?
Well, money used to be just a store of value. It used to be a mechanism for exchange. Somewhere in the 80s and 90s, money became something entirely different. Money made money, made money, made money. And the classic example of that was the CDO market, where you use debt to buy more debt, you used to buy more debt. There was really no real goods at the end of the chain. That's what extreme money is.
And a lot of people made a lot of money in the CDO market prior to the financial crisis. Has it lessened after the financial crisis? Is there less extreme money out there?
Well, I think the key thing is shuffling paper became a way of life and making money. Now, if you ask me, has that changed? The answer is not really, because obviously central banks are pumping money through the system, so if you're developing new games of shuffling money, we haven't made the change from what I would call financial engineering to real engineering, which is a change that's coming, I think.
And the financial engineers continue to make a lot of money, and a lot of times there's not a lot of very good risk management involved. For example, what happened at UBS? What's your view of that?
Well, I think fundamentally there are obviously control issues, but more importantly, it's a cultural issue because essentially everybody wants the profits and the banks depend on the profits from trading, but they don't want the risk. It's like basically wanting to get pregnant but not liking sex. It doesn't work that way. And obviously at senior levels, the appreciation of the complex products and so forth is extremely limited. And those things have not improved from before the crisis to after the crisis. And you're going to see a succession of these events, I think.
Have the masters of the universe, now this is an old term that goes back
to Tom Wolfe.
Have they maintained their power after the financial crisis? Did they still control Washington and the other capitals of the financial world?
Well, I think to change that, you have to change campaign finance and their influence. But fundamentally, they haven't changed. In fact, their power has grown because during the crisis, the governments bailed out. The too big to fail became even bigger than they used to be. The consolidation in the industry effectively made them extremely powerful, and they've continued to exert the power. I mean, the Dodd-Frank bill in the process just illustrates that. I actually call it, frankly, a dud bill, simply because the rulemaking process where the lobbyists have taken over and drafting the rules just shows how powerful this finance-government complex has become.
So how will this end in your view? Because people keep talking about you have extreme money at the top and you have a wider gap between the extreme money at the top and the lower classes at the bottom. How does it all play out?
Well, I think fundamentally it's a social thing as well as an economic thing. And to some extent, the way it'll end is through the political and social pressures. And you're seeing that in part in Europe, where you're seeing fairly middle-class people whose livelihoods have been lost, protesting. And at one point in time, if the financiers are not very careful, people are going to pick up the pitchforks and go towards them and saying, well, we've had enough. And the last example of that was the French Revolution, and I wouldn't want to wish that on anybody.
Thanks a lot.
My pleasure.